We're grateful for who God is. That list of names given, holy and mighty and all of that, that's just the beginning of things. When Jesus was jousting with the Pharisees, Jesus made it clear to them that when you start talking about me, you're talking about something that surpasses Abraham. Because before Abraham was, he said, my name is I am. In other words, when you open up the book to look at all of the good things that a person can possibly be, mighty and triumphant and awesome and holy, he says that that's just the beginning of it. He had to close the
action. Who is Jermaine Anderson?
Wow. Oh man. Jermaine is still being discovered. You know what I mean? I'm on a personal journey trying to identify first, my purpose and how that aligns up with God and what He has for me. I'm hardworking. I'm straightforward. No cut card. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Direct, focused, entrepreneurial to the end, big-hearted, giving, caring, and committed to whatever, committed to whatever the task is that I'm putting forward the effort into getting it done. So that's pretty much him. A little bit about who he is anyway, at least.
Amen. So where did you grow up at?
So I'm actually, I'll tell you a little history about me. This is a great question, who Jermaine is. So I'm adopted. So my alias was Jermaine Winters. I was adopted at age of 4 months when they brought me to Cambridge, Maryland. I was born in Hyattsville, but Hyattsville, Maryland, that is. But my parents that adopted me lived in Cambridge, Maryland. So I left Hyattsville when 4 months old, AKA Jermaine Winters. Now took on their last name, Jermaine Anderson. So born and raised in Cambridge, Dorchester County, nicknamed Groove City. On the eastern shore, the lower shore. Pretty cool town.
All right. So what was your childhood like? Like in elementary school, what was it like growing up in Cambridge?
Wow. From what I remember, it wasn't super challenging, but it was in a sense. I remember as a child, your parents try to shield you from different things, and just wanted to give you the best of what they could do. As I started growing up and exploring a little more, I started finding out some things on my own that drew me in closer to finding out. One of the things that drew me was they were always talking about our African American community and about there were businesses, there were different kinds of things like that. And as a kid, I was a sports player, so never understood why when I played baseball, my dad was kind of hesitant to come to the games because I never knew the racial tension in the area. They concealed that pretty well. But I've been always the kind of cat that would push the envelope, and attempt to do something different, and not be like. So I'm not into cars, I'm not into trucks, I'm not into that kind of stuff. Personally, I love to cook. So at a young age, I ran mine, and that's something that really stuck with me all the way up to my adulthood.
Good. What was your relationship like with your adopted father?
Oh, my adopted dad? Oh man, we cool as ice water. I was with him tonight. Today's my Thursday was my granddaughter's fifth birthday. Baby. But today, and so that was Thursday. So we're having like a birthday party for Ayana tomorrow. And so I was down there decorating the cake. We got the little bouncy toy down there, the big thing to bring and put in the yard and all. So they're expecting to have fun tomorrow. My dad, he's a Vietnam vet. You know, he came up during that era, that civil rights era. You know, Vietnam veteran, disabled veteran. Pretty cool cat. Funny as all outdoors, and I find myself, you know, taking on those personality traits more so now than I did when I was younger. I have to catch myself sometimes.
All right, good. So, growing up with your family, you know, when you entered Cambridge, you know, went through elementary school, junior high school. Did there ever come a time when you was kind of curious who your biological parents were, your dad?
Man, I tell you, be God honest, there never was a time where I felt anxious to figure out or find out who those people were. I think for one, my adopted parents was always honest with me. So I kind of knew a backstory, and I was cool with the backstory. So my grandmother was a pastor, and my mom was very young when she got pregnated by me. She got pregnated with me, sorry, not by me. So my grandmom, as a pastor, she ran a boarding house, and one of the gents up in the boarding house, you know, kind of like the little girl, and then impregnated the little girl, which was my mother. And so I think my pastor grandmama had a lot to do with making sure I had the right home to go to. You know, I was standing the best chance of being taken care of. I like to say that, but then again, you know how we are with our Christian walk, you know, that may not have been, as a matter of fact, I'm not gonna say it may not have been, that was not the best thing to be pregnant underage, no matter what the situation, how the situation occurred, wasn't easy.
So you feel that God chose this family in Cambridge for you?
Oh man, absolutely. I mean, God chose Cambridge and the family. You know, I sit back and I see it, different things. It's funny how you see, if you're open, you'll see how God's hand has always been involved. And it never ceased to amaze me what he does every day in my life. So, and you think back to the different times where you could see those things. And you think, oh man, that's why X, Y, Z happened during that particular time. You know, so that was preparing me for this. So I'm always just tickled that, you know, although I'm busy, I slow down enough to see his hand in my life.
Yes. So how did you get involved with entrepreneurship? Because I know you have a few businesses in place, and you've been running for a very, very long time, and you're active in the community. So what sparked the entrepreneurship?
Man, look, I was one of the cats. I said when I was young, I was always different, right? So when everybody was chasing shoes and name brand shoes and name brand clothes and all that other kind of stuff, man, look, I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna get me a business and what I'm gonna do. I would shovel snow in the wintertime. I would bake. I'd make freeze cups. You know, I always had a hustle. You know what I mean? A desire to, because like I said, in the back of my head, man, I still hear my parents' voice talking about how the black businesses was in the neighborhood. And as a kid growing up, so I'm like, well, where the businesses at? You know what I mean? Why are we still having these conversations about what was? Why can't we get it back? So always had that surge to move forward in that sense. And I wasn't school trained in management or anything like that. It's just in the core. The core is who I am, you know, and I realize that and I accept it. And it's not always been the easiest thing to do. Because, you know, sometimes, I mean, most of the time as black entrepreneurs, man, our challenges are different than Caucasian folks. So we face a lot of different other challenges that they don't face. And they would never even understand our challenges. So, you know, but it's all worth the journey, and I really enjoy it, I really do.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm understanding the history, you know, because you don't want it to repeat itself, and you know the history that happened in Cambridge, because just like what happened all over this country, what's happening now happened back in the 60s. Did you know the story about Race Street?
Yes.
Do you mind telling us what you know about it?
Well, yeah, Race Street, you know, during the time of segregation, there was a dividing line. So in our town, dividing line technically didn't have to do with race, but it was called Race Street because the white folks used to race horses up and down the street, and that was the horse racing runway or whatever. But after that, they kept the name Race Street, and it was like the dividing line where black folks, you know, had to stay in their lane, and it was very challenging times, you know. I think I just read that Cambridge was one of the last schools to desegregate in the state of Maryland, and it was it 67, 68, somewhere like that. So it hadn't been that long for even schools to be segregated, you know. But yeah, white folks was on this side, black folks was on that side. It got so bad here, man, that we actually, when the riots in the 67s, 66, 67, when that happened, that we were one of the smaller cities that exploded, just like those bigger cities, you know. I'm not sure if you guys, I'll tell you somebody to look up, Miss Gloria Richardson. You look her up, she was a powerhouse. She was from Cambridge, Maryland, during that particular time, and she was a very powerful civil rights leader in the town here. But yeah, our local history here in Cambridge, we've always battled against racism. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, the same stuff applies today. You know, we go through it, but we go through it in a different way. You know what I mean?
So if you had to do it all over again, or you had an opportunity to start another business, what business would you?
Man, let me tell you something. I formed 2 more corporations in the midst of the pandemic.
Tell us about it.
So one, my partner from Ohio, he's a brilliant writer, and so we started a publishing company, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about is real life scenarios. So one of our ebooks is "What's Your Money Blueprint?" Because I think in the community, especially in our Black African American communities, we don't talk money at all, you know. And that was one of the things that we wanted to do. was talking about money. And then, group economics, how do we practice group economics? How do we keep the money in the neighborhood, make the money turn? You know, those kinds of things. Understanding capitalism. Understand it's not about really how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. Different ways of putting the money to work for you instead of you working for it, or have you ever thought about leaving something for the next generation? That's something that, you know, our community has always had a problem with. Well, simply because that we haven't had access to what Caucasian folks have access to. But some things have changed, you know. We learn a lot is that most Americans fill out a W-4 when you start your job and never go back and update that thing. And guess what? You're overpaying taxes every year, waiting on a refund. You know, why are we doing that? So we're paying the money, right? We loan it to the government. The government's doing everything under the sun to make money on there, right? And we don't make enough. Then we go get a second job, fill that form out wrong again, and do the same thing with that second job. And we end up going to the banks and borrowing money because guess what? At the end of the month, there's not enough money for us. Yes. But if we learn how to shift the income, again, it's not about the money you make, it's about the money. Yes. And having a money blueprint, regardless, whether you make 15,000 or 150, a million. You know, that person that makes the millions, their mindset, their money blueprint is there. And so that's something that we started and just write about it. And then the second one, I've always been a fan of real estate, so I'm working on my private money brokering, becoming a private money broker. And so I'm really excited about that. So that was my second LLC that was formed during the pandemic. Because you know, all this time here that we had to sit idle, so on and so forth, my mind is still like, okay, there's something that we should be learning in the midst of this thing that we're going through. And we should be learning this. Go get it. Stop making excuses. Do something, you know?
All right. We talk about the pandemic. Let's talk about how you feel about wellness, health wellness. We talked about the wellness of money, about health.
Man, you got some good questions, man, because I deal with diabetes, man. And when you say health, you know, habits that we create as human beings, culturally passed down, eating habits, our mindset, wellness, when you're talking about, you know, how healthy our minds is, how fresh, how often we renew our minds, you know, on top of that, the exercise and how we take care of our temple. You know, I constantly fight that sugar demon all the time, or the unhealthy eating demon all the time. And that's one of the things that really plague our community, man, is that Black folks with sugar, high blood pressure, diabetes, you know, heart failure, stroke, and just poor. Because when you struggle, you make poor decisions because you're trying to stretch that dollar, right? You're trying to stretch that dollar, you're gonna go to the McDonald's and get the 2 for $3. You know what I mean? When you should be getting a salad, or, you know, drinking a healthy shake that's going to getting that cinnamon in your life with the ginger and all of those different kinds of things. So that's one thing I'm working on, man. I'm working on. I have an older mentor. He's like 73 years old. No, he's 75 years old. And this brother's a Tai Chi instructor. So, you know, every now and then I get with him with the Tai Chi, Qigong, and that's just lining up your body with the creator and the energy, man. Yeah, it's important.
Right, yeah. Right.
And it's hard work because you fight those demons, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just fight those demons.
Do you think you have the discipline to reverse it?
I would hope I have the discipline to reverse it, because if I don't, I'm killing myself.
All right.
Bottom line.
All right. In 30 seconds, give us some encouragement.
Oh man, even in the midst of this pandemic, even despite what you may be going through, on the other side, that purpose is waiting for you. Just be encouraged, be open to the process. Don't be afraid to forget a lot of the stuff that you've been taught, because a lot of it is not so true, you know, especially for us. And just be open to new things. I was just talking to somebody today about the strategies of what we can do with the youth, so on and so forth. And you know how we get talking and we skip like over the technology and things that have just shifted. I told you about my 5-year-old granddaughter. Man, she'll take a cell phone, guys, and she'll just, you see her little fingers going. It's like, how in the world does she know that already? You know, because the kids today, the energy source today, God today, you know, he's the same God, but at the same time, new things are happening, and you know, just stay the course. Just stay the course. Right. It's gonna be fine, you know. But I will say, you know, after we pray, we gotta put the hands in work. You know, we just can't just pray and, you know, and not go to work, because God's waiting on us to do something as well. You know, we gotta work that thing, whatever that thing is, whatever that gift is. Closing out. You are watching Jermaine Anderson, and this is who I am.
Amen. All right, brother. Very good, man.
You know, we got to get this thing together here.
I know what you're talking about.
We got to let them know that they got to give God the praise.
Got to do that.
All they got to do is get up
and get their praise on.
Right here.
Praise the Lord, come do this. Come praise the Lord, clap your hands. If you believe He made you free, just move your feet to the beat. Come praise the Lord and sing your song. Come praise the Lord, everyone. If you believe He made you free, just move your feet to the beat.
When I think about all you done for me,
when I think about your love that made me free,
So free.
when I think about it, I just wave my hand.
Get up off my feet and start to do my dance. Oh yeah.
Come on.
Praise the Lord, clap your hands.
Come on and lift your hands.
Made you free, just
Come
move
on
your
and
feet
get your
to the
praise
beat.
on.
If you believe it,
And sing your song. Praise the Lord, everyone.
come on with me.
Made you free,
Oh,
just
yeah,
move your feet
yeah.
to the beat.
I've got to tell the world you've been good to me.
Got to tell the world about this praise in me.
I've got to tell the world how you make me feel.
God was praising me and I just can't be still. Oh no.
Do your thing.
Come
Praise the
on.
Lord, clap your hands.
Come on and get your
Made
praise
you free,
on.
just move your feet to the beat.
you
Praise
dance?
the Lord and sing your song.
If you believe it, come on with me.
Come on.
Just move your feet to the beat.
Got this praise.
Praising me.
It's praising me.
Just
Got to tell.
tell the world that His love
he's been to me. Gotta stand up and shout it, tell the world all about it. Gotta stand up and shout it, just how good he's been to me. Clap your hands, come on. Do your dance, clap your hands, come on. And get your praise on. Come on and praise him. Come on and get your praise on. Come on, you gotta get up. Come on and get your praise on. Everybody get on your feet, just shout 'cause he made you free. Everybody get on your feet, just shout 'cause he made you free. Oh yeah. Get on your feet, just shout 'cause he made you free. I wanna dance, I wanna sing, lift up my hands. I got to shout, move your feet. I wanna sing, come on and sing. I wanna sing, come on and shout.
We're grateful for who God is. That list of names given, holy and mighty and all of that, that's just the beginning of things. When Jesus was jousting with the Pharisees, Jesus made it clear to them that when you start talking about me, you're talking about something that surpasses Abraham. Because before Abraham was, he said, my name is I am. In other words, when you open up the book to look at all of the good things that a person can possibly be, mighty and triumphant and awesome and holy, he says that that's just the beginning of it. He had to close the book when trying to describe himself and just said, I am. Start your roll of names of all the things I am. That's just the beginning. There is no single word that encompasses all that God is. That's why when you are on his side, when you make a commitment to him, you can't possibly lose. Because he just am. Not was, that would signify that at some point he started being that, and at some point he might stop being that. He says, go back to the beginning of time, and the page before that, I still am. Go off into the future, and I am. I just always am. I'm not confined to any space of time. I'm not just one picture. I'm the whole movie. I go back before the movie starts. I just am. That's why in John, where he says, in the beginning was the Word, it really isn't in the beginning. There's no definite article the there in the manuscripts. It simply is in beginning was the Word. And the reason for that is if you had in the